We have 42 minutes. 42 minutes. Okay, real quick.
Okay.
Do you have any rituals, real quick, that you do every day or the times that you preach?
I always run through it on a Saturday night, so that's
Yep.
like my ritual.
Yep.
I don't know, it's like a good ritual. When I run through it, I do the beginning of it like 5 times, but I don't have like I need to walk a certain way or like.
Sure.
My
Getting into a sermon is a big deal.
Yeah. I'd say the closest thing I have to a ritual is picking out my outfit the day before.
Yeah, I really care about that too.
Making sure I get a lot of sleep. Because
you had a good Rev shirt on yesterday.
I do.
You didn't preach, but it was a good shirt yesterday. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
How about you? Do you have a ritual?
Yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of them, but a lot of it is like prepping ahead of time. Like everybody always asks, like, do you get anxious or do you get nervous? And I'm like, I feel anxious. Like, I've been doing it for 20 years. Like,
interesting.
And I always say, it's the gospel. You should be anxious. Like, the weight is big. Like, I always feel a little bit like, here I go. There's a bit of anxiety that I carry.
See, I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. So like the hardest thing for me is when I first started preaching during my residency, I could not get out of my head. I was physically and verbally just a ball of anxiety. Because in my
leading
head,
up to it,
like, and during it, like,
and during the sermon,
it was
while you're actually preaching.
Yeah.
Oh, because when I start, I'm fine.
Yeah. So like the whole time through, people would be like, you could tell that you were nervous. And
that's
that was
the worst.
It's not great.
Somebody said that to me yesterday in a text. They were like, I could tell you were nervous. And I'm like, well, yeah, but hey.
Yeah. So what I had to learn is that, like, or at least the way I Jedi mind tricked myself to getting through that is that as long as I do my due diligence of like spending the time in prayer, spending the time in words, spending the time in the commentaries, and I had that moment where I felt like the Holy Spirit made it click.
Yeah.
Like, my only job is to present it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, and the impact is not up to me. I preached the absolute worst sermon of my life during my residency because they trained me to go through different ways of doing it. And one of those ways was I wasn't allowed to run through it before I presented it.
Woof.
And it was so bad. It was the worst physical like experience I can explain to you.
Setting you up for
failure. I had people message me on Facebook saying like, the Holy Spirit spoke through you so powerfully.
Cool.
Like, I was crying as I was going home, and I was like, well, it's clearly not me because that was the worst like public speaking experience of my life. And so after that, I
love that.
I stopped getting nervous because I was like, this isn't on me. Like, it's my job to just get up there and present the material. So I'm no longer anxious about that. Sometimes I get excited.
And maybe it's that I'm excited because I do love preaching in front of people. Like, I want to be up there. It's not, the anxiety is not like, oh gosh, I want to crawl in a hole. It's more like you got one shot, or like, 2, because we have 2 services, but like you do, it's sort of like the national anthem. We were joking about this the other day. The stakes of singing the national anthem are so high. I love nothing better than a national anthem fail. Like, it's because the stakes are so high. And especially at like a professional sporting event or something. Yeah. I mean, you got 20,000 people in a room. You're nationally televised. Mm-hmm. You've got 60,000 people in like a stadium or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you got one shot. And so for me, there's a lot of like, hey, there's a lot of people who are here and you're preaching the most important thing ever. It's the gospel. I should be a bit nervous. Mm. So I think it's just more like, if I'm never not nervous throughout this process, I probably should be done preaching. It's kind of the way I think about it. Okay. It's like, no, the stakes are pretty high.
I'll take that.
This is the good news of the gospel. And so but maybe it's just excited.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe we just process things differently.
Yeah, but it has not changed for 20 years of preaching.
Wow.
Like, it's there. I don't know that it'll ever go away.
Okay.
But that's that. So.
Well.
Are we done this conversation?
Yeah.
Do we need to wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're done.
I like talking about preaching.
We could talk about preaching forever.
Yeah.
That's a hoot and a holler.
Yeah, we should do a whole sermon series on this. I mean, not sermon series, a whole InspireCast series.
A whole sermon series on series?
I'll stop. Okay, you just close this out.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the fact that we could barely answer any of those trivia questions. And I hope you like and subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode. Have a good day.